My name is Sue Jeiven, and I live in Brooklyn. I am a professional tattoo artist at East River Tattoo in Brooklyn, and I am an amateur taxidermist. I specialize in anthropomorphic taxidermy. It's Queen Victoria that actually became so enamored with it. Absolutely went crazy for it, and that started a trend towards anthropomorphic taxidermy and really brought it out in the forefront. Anthropomorphic taxidermy is using the animal that you're taxiderming to represent human characteristics, wearing clothes in little poses, in a tableau, if you will, and it's usually to represent a parable or a story. One of the earliest anthropomorphic taxidermy examples is from Aesop's Fables, using Renard the fox, and it's an easy way for kids to relate to the different types of morals and things like dilemmas they could encounter. And then Walter Potter from Sussex, who was one of the earliest serious anthropomorphic taxidermists, did the same thing with a story called The Life and Death of Cock Robin, and that was the same thing. It would teach children, stories and things like that that we still teach them today. I think with animals, I don't know if it's that kids relate, but there's an emotion and that whole idea of bringing the outside world in. It's an interesting idea that they become fascinated with. A project I'm working on right now is this pigeon over here. What still remains on here are the eyes and, of course, the anthropomorphic aspects. My inspiration for what the animals are going to be presented as is a lot of times books I read as a child that I'm very attracted to. I'm doing a country mouse and a city mouse, if you perhaps remember that story. So they come from most of the time my childhood or books that I find visually interesting. The fashion I use is never modern. Everything that I'm using comes from between a certain time and a certain time. Like, we're never going to put an air guitar in. And that's what makes this particular anthropomorphic version of taxidermy that I do unique. When I teach taxidermy classes, I bring in the items that people use and I ask them to represent only characters that are timeless. The animals I use come from a variety of sources. One of the things I'm very, very invested in is that is an ethical taxidermy. I do not kill anything for the purpose of my work. Most of them are feeder animals. It's good to know the source, and it's good to make sure that the purpose of this animal was not for taxidermy. When the animal dies naturally, or when the purpose was for something else, I feel almost good about giving this immortal life to something that, when you see the mice that they feed to the snakes, it's cages and cages and cages of factory white little mice. They all look the same, and it's kind of nice to see this little personality and this sort of little attitude that these mice get as you're elevating them past that aspect. I'm presently writing a book on the how-to of taxidermy. There aren't any books sort of tailored to anthropomorphic taxidermy and the lessons of it. So I'm very excited about that, and that really is because of Joanna and the observatory classes. I'm going to do all the illustrations. But what I want to achieve with the book is, if you live in the city and you don't have access to trapping animals, you don't have a studio where you can do this, this is going to be something where someone in Brooklyn can pick this up and learn how to do basic, simple taxidermy with what's around them.